Hello, everybody, and welcome to Shark Sandwich, a series where we look at controversial, divisive, or panned art house films from across the world of cinema to see where we land on the scale. What do you think of that intro?
Yeah, that's good. That works.
You like it?
Yeah, I do.
Today, we are looking at 2017's Song to Song, directed by the one and only Terrence Malick. So, what did you think? I'll start you off. What did you think?
Do you want me to start? All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is it's a bit hard because I have mixed feelings on the movie. But I would say overall, I liked the movie a fair bit. I thought it was a really interesting approach, and especially like for Terrence Malick, who I only have seen like his analog films from. It was really interesting to see his take on like a digital filmed movie and techniques he uses to achieve the look. I thought it was pretty interesting that he's using like a GoPro camera. I wouldn't think a guy in his like 80s would use a GoPro in his movies, but that was also interesting. Aside from that, I thought the story of the film itself was, it was pretty, in a sense, generic, but I think the approach to the plot itself is what makes it unique. Overall, I like the movie.
Well, I've seen The Tree of Life, which you haven't seen. So I'm familiar to his like digital era, but like the GoPro stuff and like that's definitely something that I haven't seen before. But the thing is, like watching this movie, like literally as it started, is I think like Malick is like a pretty kind of perfect example of like auteur theory, because like you can watch it and like straight away, like literally within like the first 10 seconds of watching the film, I'm like, all right, this is Terrence Malick. This is him doing his thing. Then what? Because I've not seen like a lot of the other ones, but I've seen like clips and stuff, and they're like all kind of filmed in that same handheld way, which obviously like that kind of technology didn't really like exist, like when they was making like Badlands and like Days of Heaven and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I think I definitely agree. It's like a modern era for him, and I think it matches pretty well with other directors who went from film and then to digital. I always feel like Terrence Malick movies are fairly straightforward. It's just the approach to the material that makes it, unique. It's a pretty straightforward story, but the way he like edits it and the way he connects all the pieces together, it's something completely unique to his style, I guess. I'm gonna start speaking about something else because it's my top note, and I know it's gonna be I don't know how you're gonna take it, but I was gonna say that this reminds me of Ryan Trecarden's work, especially one of his movies that you haven't seen, Mark Trade, which is more of his more recent works. That one's a bit more of a documentary, but the reason why I connect these two movies is because Mark Trade, the way it approaches the story, it has a story, and then it seems like they've filmed everything, and then they take so much out, and it becomes more like a free-flowing series of thoughts and experiences and moments in the life of these characters. There's barely any dialogue. This is basically dialogue-free. There's a few lines here and there, especially between like parents and children, but most of it is like introspective monologues about life and what's going on and things that are going on. One of the things when I watched, like one of my main thoughts is like, this feels like a re-edit of a different movie. It feels like there's a pretty straightforward, romance movie with a subplot, and then Malick is approaching that movie. One of the things I wrote down is that it feels like the memory of a movie. So when I think about the movie in hindsight, when I think about a movie, you're never getting like the full. You're not remembering it exactly as the movie was. You don't remember scene from scene. You remember moments and the images that resonate with you, and the dialogue or monologues that like stuck with you. And this kind of feels like that, like remembering a movie with the like plot details kind of going into the background, but the stuff that's really important, those moments kind of like shining through.
I definitely agree with you in the documentary kind of way that this is like presented and filmed and shot. And this is the thing that maybe will show the difference between us. Is you said that it was similar to Ryan Trecarton, and the note I have is that it's Kiarostami-esque.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I mean, you're more familiar with him than me. So.
Oh wait, no, you didn't see Close Up, did you?
Nope.
Well, let me change. It's like Nathan Fielder's The Rehearsal-esque. Then let me change that.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure, that works.
And like in a way that there was some parts of it that I couldn't really like figure out if they were like real or like staged. Like there's like interactions with like certain people and stuff like that. Like there's one point where they're talking to some policemen and stuff like that, and I'm kind of like was that like staged, or did that actually like happen for real?
From what I know about Close Up, that seems pretty accurate to Malick's approach. And I would just like add to that, because Malick, he films his movies like a documentary, basically. He has like thousands of hours of footage that he leaves on the cutting room floor, which is basically like a documentary. They have to like make a movie out of, or an episode out of like thousands of hours of footage. And I feel like Malick's approach is really similar to a documentary. So it makes sense that it would match up to other documentaries.
And like kind of like near the middle of the film, when it was like there was like archive footage of like a silent film, and it kind of reminded me in like a weird way of the opening to Days of Heaven. Do you remember kind of how that one opens, like with the classical music, and it's like photos and stuff from like that period.
Yeah,
but I think what's different about it in this film is it's kind of used for like an opposite purpose, whereas like in Days of Heaven it was like kind of try to connect you to that time period and like that scenery, whereas like when it's used in this film it's kind of like trying to distance us and like...
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I didn't connect that myself while watching, but now that you're like telling me about it, I can definitely see like the similarities in that. And I feel like once you really look into this movie, there's lots of ways to connect it to his other work, especially his older work.
This is a film I feel like has got like a lot of humour in it, which is something I don't really like connect with when I'm thinking of like Terrence Malick, whereas in Badlands I do think there's a lot of humour, which is where I think there's a connection there, because both of those films show humour, which I think shows how humour is like inherently like a human thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I mean, I wrote in my notes that this is like a really humanist film, and by that I mean the same thing as you, that it's like there's a focus on human interactions and experiences, and I think the structure of the movie reflects that, because as I said, it feels like a memory, both in like a memory of another movie, but also the memories of these characters we see in the film. It really feels like a collection of impressions and stuff, and I think that adds to the humanness as well as the humor. I mean, this is, for me, the funniest Terrence Malick film I've seen. His other movies, except for Badlands, as you pointed out, aren't really all that funny. This one is funny, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I did too.
When you said earlier, when you weren't sure if something was real or if something was like scripted, one of the scenes where I felt that was especially when they were at the beach. When Michael Fassbender, he like jumps around like a monkey. It feels like something he just did for the fuck of it. That moment felt really real to me. Yeah. And I also think that adds to the documentary thing we talked about, because it feels like you're just watching someone recording these people in their lives, especially with like the footage of the concerts and the raves and whatever. It feels like it's documenting these people rather than being a strictly narrative movie, I guess.
No, I definitely agree. Because it's like a lot of the kind of like relationship stuff and like the relations between like the people in it is just like all about the humour. Like you say, the stuff with like them as the monkeys and stuff like that. And like him coming, like Ryan Gosling coming in her clothes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just like it's just like part of the way that like those humans, like the relationship between those naturally kind of like connect, and that's how people, like we as people, connect with each other, like through humour and stuff like that. It's not really connected to anything, but about like an hour and 20 minutes in, Val Kilmer shows up.
Oh yeah, that is such a surprise. I didn't expect that at all.
Yeah, I did not at all. It's always nice to see that guy and stuff. I always like seeing him and stuff.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I was really shocked. I don't know why I didn't write that down in my notes, because it was really, it took me out of it for a second, because I was like, what the fuck, Val Kilmer is in this? But it didn't like ruin anything for me. I think it was a good inclusion. I was gonna ask you a question actually, because
ask away.
It's something I thought about while watching the movie. I was thinking about the religious aspect of the film. It's kind of subtle. There's a few scenes where at the end, an interesting quote, at least for me, it kind of stuck out by Rooney Mara. She says that she played or toyed with the source of life, or something like to that effect, where she's talking about sex and her kind of like promiscuity or whatever. And my thought was, what is Terrence Malick trying to say about it? Is he like against it, or is he like a religious fundamentalist? And personally, I don't think he is, but I just think it was an interesting inclusion, because it kind of gives another angle to the movie that I didn't really think about while watching. There's definitely one where like, okay, what is he saying about this lifestyle? And I was wondering what you think about that, if you have any thoughts, I mean.
No, I do actually. I'm happy to answer. I'm definitely not like sweating trying to think of something to say. I feel like he's actually like trying to like send a message to people, whereas I never really got that message. Like I never got that he was trying to send a message while I was watching like Days of Heaven. Whereas here I feel like he's actually like trying to say something about like religious fundamentalism and like the music industry and like the way like this world kind of like warps people and how people like become warped due to it. And
I can actually, I agree with that. That's why that line kind of like struck me. In his other movies I've seen, none of the characters say something that's meant to be like a criticism of their lives. But when she says she was toying with, the source of life, whatever it was, I don't remember the exact quote. It feels like Terrence Malick saying, don't play too much with this lifestyle and don't, it warps you in a sense, as you said. But it's also a movie that affords so much humanity to its characters that it kind of, it's not like, it's not a criticism. It's not made with spite. It's not made with like anger. It's a compassionate depiction of these characters and the way they are struggling with their lives. And I think that's what makes this movie really different from a lot of other movies, because when you're making a movie, it's easy to be like, okay, obviously capitalism or yuppie culture or whatever. You can be overly critical of the people, and then at the same time you're like removing a lot of the human aspects of them, whereas Terrence Malick is not removing the humanity at all. Actually, the humanity is the point, it's the point that these people are being warped.
It's kind of crazy that like the 2010s is like his most active decade.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. I mean, I don't know, it's something about becoming old with directors. They suddenly start making like 2 movies a year, like Spielberg. Why is the 2000s and 2010s like his most active ever? I mean, it started in the 90s, but like in the 2000s and 2010s he really started pumping out films, and it's like really interesting. I guess they feel maybe more of a push towards making films. I don't know. It's like speculation.
Because like the 2000s is like probably my, well maybe not, but it's definitely one of my favourite eras of Spielberg's career. Because it feels like he was doing a lot of like really interesting like ideas and stuff that like he wouldn't have been able to do if he hadn't like collected all these years of goodwill as like a great family director with like all these blockbusters under his belt by that point.
Yeah.
And then I feel like, because the 2010s, he kind of goes back to that kind of like blockbuster, like with like Ready Player One and stuff like that. And I kind of feel like that's because of the response that like his 2000s movies got, because they were kind of like bizarre and like weird and interesting.
Do you want to bring it back in? Do you have something you want to share?
Just
you want
something
to say?
I feel like, yeah, I've got something I feel like you can't not say. This movie is fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
It's gorgeous, and also it's like bizarre, because there's like some shots are like fucking like these luscious like fucking like gorgeous lighting, these like slow like tracking cam movements, and then there's other shots and it's like they were like filmed on a fucking iPhone.
Yeah, anybody could like pick up a camera and make this scene, and then like a few scenes later, it's like the most gorgeous shot and composition you've ever seen in your life. And that like, I don't know, it's really interesting how those two are in the same movie.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, and it's definitely something that like only Malick could or would do.
And I thought the inclusion of the GoPro was such a strange choice to me, I guess. It felt, in a sense, kind of gimmicky, I guess. It's like, oh, this is the new thing. I'm using this camera now. It was the 2017, so everybody had a GoPro, I guess. And I was like thinking about the inclusion of that. But I actually think Malick used it for a good purpose. I think it works because it is a trend, especially for its time. And I think he uses it in certain scenes to like make you live in that time period. I feel like if you watch this movie 20 years from now, it will be easier to understand how exactly the inclusion of those shots kind of introduce you to this world, because we can't quite see it yet because we're still in this world with with this kind of footage. But in the future, the GoPro, that's how people recorded things at the time in 2017. That's how people recorded concerts or surfing or sports or whatever. That's how people did that. Most directors nowadays are afraid of making something contemporary. They're afraid of making something set in the modern day. And like most filmmakers that have made movies for as long as he has make period pieces.
Yeah, but definitely.
He's making movies set today in this year, or 2017, or whenever he's making a movie. And that's really unique about him, that he's not trying to shy away from what time period we are living in right now.
Because it's definitely like definitely a trend of a lot of like modern directors, and by modern directors I mean old directors making films in the modern day, to shy away from like contemporary films. Because it's the only people I can think of that still make contemporary films are Malick and Clint Eastwood. But it's like, it's just something interesting that Malick like goes completely in the opposite direction and like makes something so interconnected to the modern world that he's literally using GoPros and shots.
And I think that's amazing for a guy who's like, I don't know how old he is, 70 or 80 years old by now. He's actively engaging with what the world is like right now, instead of trying to just retreat into, the past.
Because there's the thing I noticed like when I was first watching this film, like as it started, it was those kind of shots that like I know Malick for, those like with a handheld camera and like the bright like sunlight shining through, and I'm like, alright, this is just any other Malick film. And then it goes and it transitions into the concert, and you've got this fisheye lens, and you've got like fucking rave music playing, and you've got like all these mentalists jumping about in the fucking in like a mosh pit, and I was genuinely like kind of like shocked to like see it, because I just did not expect Malick to make something like that, because I'm just so used to like old directors who just like stay away from like anything modern at all costs, and it was just something that really surprised me, but like that I really appreciated about the film.
Yeah, I mean, it's so fascinating when you look at his filmography. There's nothing there that's like, oh, he made this for money or whatever.
Yeah.
Most directors do, because they kind of have to.
Uh-huh.
But Malick, he stuck to his stuff.
Like, talking about this now, just like, I don't know if I'm gonna sound like an idiot, but like how the fuck does he have money? Like what does he do?
I have no fucking clue. Yeah, who the fuck is funding Malick?
Because the thing, it's not like his like films don't make money, but like you just think like how does he survive like 20 years with like with no job?
Yeah, like, did he do something else?
Yeah, was he was he a fucking carpenter or something like that?
Yeah, did he was he like a cashier or something? Did he?
Imagine you like go to McDonald's and it's fucking Terrence Malick on the other side.
Yeah, but I mean, it's pretty insane. Like, did he make that much money off of Badlands and Days of Heaven that he could take like a
fucking
10-year break?
Hiatus.
Yeah, 20 years or 10. Yeah, I don't know.
Like, it was the 70s until like the fucking late 90s.
Yeah. So like, what was he doing between those?
Because it's not like he's like George Lucas and he like just has like fucking like billions of dollars in the bank that he's like able to just take it easy. They're not like, they weren't blockbuster hit movies. Like, yeah, they were successful, but they're fucking art house films.
Yeah.
Surely that's not like money you can survive on for like extended unemployed hiatuses.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have much else to say about the movie.
Yeah, I don't really.
Overall, I liked it. I really liked it. I thought it was a unique experience. I don't know about you. You didn't even say if you did like the movie. I mean, I feel like you do like the movie by what you've said, but you never said if you liked the movie, so...
No, I hated it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it too.
Yeah.
I feel it's unfair that it's like been like maligned and like people don't talk about it at all, because there's definitely like a lot of interesting stuff that it's saying, and I feel like a lot like people just kind of didn't listen in a way.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they're just like, oh, this is pretentious. This is fucking a boring Terrence Malick film. Because like even I admit like the film can like be a little like frustrating at times.
Yeah.
Like there was a couple of times where I was like checking how long was left.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot to say this. This was one of my like opening lines I was preparing for the video. I wanted to say that this was how would I say it, because it's not in my notes. It's one of the longest movies that aren't long, but it's not like long in a bad way. It just felt like a lifetime. Yeah. Basically, I felt like I was sitting there for a lifetime, but at the same time, it kind of passed by really quickly. And at points, I was like, okay, when is this ending? Because it felt like it was approaching an end, and then it just kept going.
Yeah, and then it kept going.
And then it kept going, and then like, oh, now it's ending, and then it kept going a little bit more. And I think that was the most frustrating part for me, because I was like, okay, are you gonna tie this together? And then he does actually, make a proper conclusion. It's kind of sad that like when Malick is at his most active, that's when people are kind of not
like stop
looking
listening
at his movies. Yeah, I feel like he probably has the most to say now. Or at least it feels more urgent since he's making so many movies. It feels like he really has to make these movies to get something out there. I don't know what, exactly.
My only hope is that like his next film, like the Jesus Project, is gonna like spark that interest again and get people like talking and get people interested again.
I mean, I think it will actually see a bit of success. I feel like we've seen now with Oppenheimer and Barbie.
And Barbie as well.
I'm like, I have no idea how he's gonna approach this movie. Like, I can't even imagine like how it's gonna be structured. I have like a vague idea of how a Terrence Malick film about Jesus is gonna be, but at the same time, I can't trust that idea because he has already shown that he just does whatever when he feels like it.
It would be cool if he had like the GoPro shots and stuff and the Jesus movie.
Yeah, Jesus at a rave.
I actually like Passion of the Christ for the record.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you should tell people that. It's a like fucking the baby. Such an insane inclusion.
The evil baby.
Yeah, it's such an insane inclusion. It's like something only a dumb guy would make, and that's why it's like good because like the dumbest guy in the world made this movie.
Yeah, it's a bizarre movie. And in the bit where he fucking like Jesus invents the chair or whatever the fuck it is.
The table, I think.
When he invents the table.
I mean, how the fuck do you invent the table? Like, surely at that point people had tables.
And fucking the devil walks along and says, "Oh, that'll never catch on. Try again, Jesus."
Yeah,
you lose,
you know exactly, like, Jesus is this character that like anybody can imprint on with their own beliefs.
To bring this back to the point.
Even Mel fucking Gibson, who's like a dumbass, the biggest fucking dumbass in the whole world, Jesus also becomes, a dumbass in that sense.
Oh, and Jesus in that film actually is played by Jim Caviezel, who is the lead in Thin Red Line.
Oh, wow.
Just brought it back.
Wow,
just saved
it. That's amazing. You saved this entire section. Now you can keep it in the video.
I know, I don't need to cut out the video.
Yeah.
The original cut of this film was 8 hours long. And here's a question, like, before I move on, I want to ask you this. Would you want to see an 8-hour version of this movie?
I mean, personally, I'm never gonna watch an 8-hour movie, ever. Even if it's, like, a real recording of like God descending upon Earth, I'm not gonna watch it if it's like 8 hours long.
Imagine that film though, fucking God slowly descending from heaven for fucking 8 hours.
Yeah, but
so
I mean,
awful.
Maybe I would do the like Irishman routine of like cutting it up into like 4 parts. Yeah.
Watch the Descent of God as a mini-series. Wait until he reaches this cloud and then press pause. Wait until he passes this bird and then press pause again. So like, even all the way like 5 years after filming, Malick was like still working away in his little shed, like the fucking recluse he is.
Does he have a shed where he works on his movies?
I don't know if he works in a shed.
Is that like a part of trivia? He has a shed where he makes movies?
That's a trivia fact. Malick works in a shed. And he watches GoPro footage of like Dude Perfect. Do you think Malick like watches TikToks? That's why he's like so reclusive. He's like just spends his entire day watching TikToks.
Yeah. He's watching like stupid tutorials with like Subway Surfer on the side. His next movie, his Jesus movie, is gonna have like Subway Surfers just like right next to it. Okay.
Ryan Gosling said that there was no script when they filmed this movie. Which makes sense, but like also I kind of don't believe him.
Yeah, no, he's fucking bullshitting.
Yeah, I kind of think he's fucking lying.
Yeah, what a fucking liar. Of course there's a script.
Like there's a lot of improvisation and stuff. Obviously Natalie Portman said that they would like go 30 minutes sometimes just completely improvising, but like no script at all seems like incredibly unlikely.
Yeah, no, I don't believe there was no script.
I don't believe him. Like surely like a production team and like the crew and stuff like that need a script for like
they do.
Like to be able to like do what they need to do.
Yeah, for sure.
So like
they need to like be able to plan this stuff. Like yeah.
The thing I don't get though is like, why would they make that up? Why did he lie?
I don't know.
That?
It makes it more like interesting. I guess.
It makes it
like,
seem cooler.
Yeah.
Here's like this is something that it made me like I don't know what the fuck it's about. I took it from IMDb trivia because I take my research very seriously. But I'm going to read it to you exactly as it says it here.
Right.
In the first press screening in LA, over 15 people walked out. As soon as the movie ended, a woman said yay, and everyone in the theatre agreed.
She said yay?
A woman said yay, and everyone in the theatre agreed.
Did they like ask everybody, like, do you agree with yay?
How the fuck do you measure? What do you mean everyone agreed with a yay?
Yeah.
Over 15 people though, they probably just like had a train to catch or something. 15 is nothing.
Yeah,
it's
15
not,
is.
like, what do you mean?
And it's the first.
15?
Yeah, the first press screening. It's like, okay, there's probably like billion people there.
Like what is over 15? Does it mean like 16, 17? It's not like it's not like 100. It's not like over 100. Fucking
yeah,
over 15.
It's like max like 20 people.
Surely you could just count.
Yeah, if it was over 20, they would have said over 20.
The Twitter is dead. The Twitter hasn't been posted to since 2017. But the website is even more dead. songtosongmovie.com. It's now huge domains because the website is for sale. The domain is for sale for $2,400. But I went ahead and bought it, and it's going to be the hub for the channel from now on.
Yeah. I was thinking we could like buy the website of every movie we watch.
Last thing, this is actually the last thing, and it's stance, because I want to see, do you agree with the consensus or not? I'll give you three options. You've got love, hate, and agree with the consensus, which is in the middle.
I mean, I'm gonna lean on love more than consensus or hate. I feel like love? I like it more than the consensus.
There you go, we've got our choice. And for our final thing, if you had to describe the movie or like sum up the movie using just one word, what would the word be?
Damn. Alright. I guess memory. I guess that's like memory. That's a pretentious answer, but yeah.
Clever girl. Jurassic
Thanks.
Park again.
Now you have to answer one word.
Oh, yeah. One more. Well, I didn't even do the stance thing.
Alright, do the stance. Consensus, hate, or love?
I'll go love.
Alright. Yeah.
All you need is love. And I'm feeling the love.
Yeah, for sure. Nice. And one word to describe the movie.
Oh. That's not the word, by the way, that's just me thinking.
Oh. Oh, wow.
I'll go for elevator.
Alright. I guess that's a valid answer.
And that's Song to Song.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
No, not really.
There was a classical piece in this that was used. I didn't know it was a classical piece, but it was used in this when they were like at the beach with the seagulls and stuff like that. And the reason I didn't know it was a classical piece is because when I was listening to it in the movie, and I thought, is this the music from Babe? And it's because in Babe they use that song and like versions of that song like very heavily, like throughout Babe. And I was so confused because I was thinking like, why the fuck has Terrence Malick used the Babe soundtrack in fucking Song to Song? But it turns out that I was
that's amazing.
just because like we kind of like it doesn't need to be seen again. We've like said everything that needs to be said. Just watch this video instead of seeing the film.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, spoilers, by the way.
Yeah, spoilers. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Unlucky if you just watched the video.
Unlucky. Yeah, that fucking sucks for you.
Goodbye.
Bye. 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 Bye.